It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. 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 I'm going downtown tonight. What's going on?
Okie dokie then, coming up to Theatre Clwyd on the 20th of May, that's next Monday, is the 40th anniversary tour of Willy Russell's classic award-winning Educating Rita. Now, this tells the story of Rita, who is a bored hairdresser, who decides to enrol on an open university course to try and expand her horizons. Little does she know, little does she realise where this journey would take her. Her tutor, Frank, is a frustrated poet, a brilliant academic and a dedicated drinker. Sounds like a top guy. Who's less than enthusiastic about taking Rita on, but the two soon realise how much they have to teach each other. This hilarious and heartwarming comedy won the Olivier Award when it was produced in London's West End by the RSC and was adapted into the multi-award-winning film, which everybody now knows, I presume, which starred Julie Walters and Michael Caine. Now, as I say, the 40th anniversary, I can't believe that. 40 years it's been going, and one of the greatest playwrights, British playwrights, Mr. Willy Russell, has had a hand in putting it back on the stage, starring Stephen Tomkinson and Jessica Johnson playing the part of Rita. Earlier this week, I had a bit of a chit-chat with both of them, and we'll start, I think, with Jessica. I think that'll be the best way. So here is Jessica, who is going to be playing the part of Rita in this tour of Educating Rita, coming to Theatre Clwyd next Monday. Willy Russell. Now, there's a guy who he writes almost, I mean, for a male to write so brilliantly for women, it's quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He does write fantastic for women. I feel very fortunate. I grew up on his writing anyway. I think, you know, being very young and being at youth drama clubs and things like that. So just your basic training, you do a lot of classical stuff. I remember the first time I read Willy's work, and it isn't just about writing women, it's about writing working class women and even working class voices as well. And I think that and it's phenomenal, because it was the first time I could hear my voice in there, you know, and you go, yeah, this is exciting. So it's been an utter pleasure and an honour to be working with him. He's been in quite a lot. He's been through rehearsals anyway, but he's been with us at least 2 days a week. So, you know, to speak to him directly and have his, you know, just him being there has just been wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I did Blood Brothers for Bill Kenwright a few years ago now.
Did you really?
Yeah, and when we did the 10th anniversary, Willy came in, and it was, well, you've got to get over yourself first, haven't you? Yeah, I mean, people saying, "Oh, Willy's in again." Well, he's sitting in that, and you're like, "Oh," it was so nerve-wracking. It was like working for one person in a full auditorium. But yeah, you're right.
I totally understand. He came to the first read through, whether the first day of rehearsals when we did the read through. And by God, I was nervous.
Yeah, I bet.
So nervous.
Because you've played Rita before, haven't you? Before with a different company.
I did, yeah. I did it at Durham Gala. It was quite lucky because they did a production of it, which was kind of another local theatre at the Customs House. But I didn't even get seen for it. And I was like, damn, because it's one of them parts, you know, when people ask you when you're an actor, you know, what's your dream part? What's your dream? And it was always Rita. It was always Rita. Yeah. And I used that Better Song to Sing speech for, I think, majority of my auditions growing up and stuff. But when it came up, again, I was like, yeah, no, I've got to be seen. So I wrote to, like, everybody in the theatre. Everyone going, I need to be seen for this. I need to get in. Because I was getting to that age where I was like, you know, another 5 years, I'm going to be too old to play her, and the moment will have passed. thought was really hell-bent on getting it. But I got an award for it as well. It was a very, very different production, though. It was set modern time, and yeah, so she was a very different, I'd say she was a different Rita to the one that I'm playing this time. So for all it's the same play, they're very, very different productions.
Because I often wonder when you go back and do something that you've already done, do you start like with a completely clean slate in rehearsals?
Yeah, you've got to try, I think, but some of the struggle for me, I mean, there have been various cuts as well in this script, which is, have all been approved by Willy. I mean, he even said himself, audiences have changed a lot in 40 years, and some of the social issues that are in there now, the audience don't need to be fed them. People are, they'll tend to be a lot more socially conscious than what they were. I think some of the topics that it discusses in Rita, people are quite up to speed with it all now. So it's a bit in rehearsals. I was struggling. I kept on bumping into me previous Rita, if you will, and so I was trying to shake that off a little bit, and then trying to deal with the cuts. Was like, because your body goes into automatic, your muscle memory, and so it was there were moments where I had to sort of fight against that a little bit.
And there's something about that role, I think, that resonates with everybody.
Oh God, I think so, absolutely. I think it's a story of whenever you're wanting something slightly, more out of life or better out of life, and that struggle, that could be a promotion at work, it could be anything, or being a parent. We all kind of reach a point where we want something, else, or something better, or just to escape sometimes, have an adventure. And Rita, I mean, honestly, even reading Rita, I'm very much a working class girl. I'm from Sunderland originally, and it was at the first time I read that, it was like hope. Not just about being this young aspiration to being an actor, but just really going. You can get something out of life if you just work really hard and fight for it. Yeah, absolutely. And you can achieve it. So she did. She gave me hope. She really did. And I've got a really strong relationship with Rita. She's been with me for a very, very long time. Yeah. Brilliant. I love playing her.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of brought up, aren't we, in this country, that educated people are somehow better than the rest of us. But I think this play kind of brilliantly shines a light on the fact that the opposite is actually quite true.
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah. I think it's strange, isn't it? I think, again, I was talking about this yesterday, when you're a working class performer, sometimes you feel, the industry it's got a lot of middle class people and a lot of very well educated people. And you sometimes feel a little bit out of your depth, or you feel inadequate, or, you question about what you're bringing to the table, certainly. So and I felt that struggle as well. I think a lot of working class actors feel that struggle, not just working class people in general. When you're thrown into a place like that, we did a tour for Christmas, just going around. It was with a great company called Not Too Tame, and we were touring around social clubs doing this panel. And you meet the best people, like proper salt of the earth people. These are the people that the characters that you want to be written, and the people that you want to play. Yeah. And these are people that don't go to the theatre. And when you mention theatre to them, they go, "Oh, la-di-da." Yeah. Well, it is. It's that sense of going, they don't feel welcome. Yeah. And that is something that I think, but when you do bits like educating me, and what Willy does really well, though, is he writes stories for them and about them, and it isn't just about the failures of being a working class. It's about celebrating the success and the achievement of them. I think that's what's fantastic about it. They triumph over great odds and stuff, and that's what I really love about it. And these sorts of plays, I think, do attract more working class people into the theatre, because there's a comfort in knowing that there is something, that it isn't la-di-da. And that there is a place for them in the theatre as well. And
this, of course, is a two-hander, isn't it? It's not like the movie, this.
No, it's not. No, it's just the two of us. It's me and Stephen.
Is that a nice thing? Does that bring its own sort of challenges, or is it quite a nice thing to do?
No, like I say, I'm having a great time. I'm presuming Stephen is as well. He doesn't turn out otherwise. But no, it is. You know what? It is. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. Like Stephen, once he's on stage, doesn't leave the stage. And while he is still on stage, I'm running off and I'm doing very quick costume changes, and then coming back onto a different scene. They're kind of like the way the play's written. It's like snapshots. What was the word I'm looking for? Episodic. Is that a word? Have I just made that up?
I don't know, it sounds good.
I said it really quietly in case it was, they're just like these little light flashes of things, so it's very busy, like in the rehearsals are hard, because, you know, if you've got a big ensemble, at some point, you know, you get a bit of a rest, you know, in the green room, while other people are doing their scenes and whatnot. Like with this, it's just obviously not been the case here. We arrived at 10 o'clock in the morning and we finished at 6, and the both of us have been grafting all day, so, you know, no rest for the wicked and that.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute treat to speak to you, Jessica. Thanks ever so much for that.
No, you too. Lovely to chat to you, man.
And so yeah, we'll see you in Theatre Clwyd in a couple of weeks. So it's
I know, I can't wait.
marvellous. You take care of yourself.
All right, you too, mate.
Take care. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lovely Rita, meet a mate.
So there you go, that is Jessica Johnson, who is going to be playing the part of Rita in this touring production, this 40th anniversary touring production of Educating Rita. Brilliant. So it's a two-hander, and she is joined on the stage all night by the absolutely fantastic Stephen Tomkinson. And I think many people will know Stephen from a range of television work that has just catapulted him into the heart of any British TV viewer, starring in Drop the Dead Donkey, of course, DCI Banks, Wild at Heart, Trolleyed, Father Ted, brilliant, All Quiet on the Preston Front, equally as brilliant, and most recently playing the part of George Torville in the biopic of Torville and Dean last Christmas. That was terrific as well. Lately, Stephen has been concentrating on his stage work with a fantastic art on tour last year, and at Christmas, the Christmas Carol at the Old Vic in London. And now Stephen is playing the part of Frank in this Educating Rita, and well, I had to have a chat with him as well, didn't I? Here he is on the Stage and Screen Show on Calon FM, the brilliant Stephen Tomkinson. I was wondering, was being a professional actor, was that always on your radar?
Yes, I think it was once. It's a very typical story of having like one teacher, a guy called Jeff Lynham, who was teaching me English, lit and language at the time, but his wife used to write sort of versions of the original versions are based around the sort of nativity story, and we put those on at Christmas, and he thought I was good enough to pursue something down that alley, and he sort of harnessed that energy and imagination that's unique to you at that age.
Yeah.
And so I've him to thank for an awful lot of it, really.
So did you go like straight from school to drama school? Is that how we went?
Drama school, yeah. After doing my A-levels, my mum and dad thought I might be good enough to audition for drama school then. The original plan had been that I go to university and get a degree, something to fall back on. But after they saw me in Arthur Miller's The Crucible,
right,
so, they thought, no, they were very moved by that, and yes, maybe our lad is good enough, so they let me go. Yeah.
Well, brilliant. Well, when I went to drama school, my mum and dad gave me a card, and in it my dad wrote the old adage, if you're going to be an actor, my son, golly, be a comical one. And
yes.
and I always quite fancied that, but that literally was your route in, really, wasn't it? That's how you made your name, really.
Yeah, after my first job was joining the BBC radio drama company, and did 54 plays in 7 months with them, which was a heck of a start.
Wow, that's all on radio, is it?
Yeah. So
wow.
It gave me a real appreciation of writers, I suppose, because without them you're nothing, and doing the radio is the closest you get to the author's work, and trying to make that live for the listeners.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant grounding, and then yes, the first thing that really got me noticed was Drop the Dead Donkey.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? Because, I mean, I've spoken to people over the last couple of weeks saying I was going to be speaking to you, and they've all said the same thing. They've all said, oh, we love him. But it's bizarre, because some say they love doing Drop the Dead Donkey, others say they thought you were amazing in Brassed Off, others had seen you in art in London back
right.
in 2001, 2002, was it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not many actors, actually, that have swept across the three main genres of acting and been successful in all three, really.
Yes, I mean, I didn't set out with any plans, but if I'd wanted to orchestrate my career, I'd have kept it exactly the same, because the thing that's delighted me more than anything has been the variety of the roles that I've played, and also the mediums that I've performed in as well. And I think that's always kept me really hungry and interested, because it's been the variety of work that's really sort of piqued my interest. And I've always tried now to do something different from the last job. And if I've been doing too much TV, I'll take some time out and look to get back on the stage, because they're very different set of acting muscles that you get to use.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that I'm on a run of great theatre things at the moment, because they just came up one after the other. Was the Tour of Arts, and then going to play Scrooge at the Old Vic last Christmas. And
right.
Then we picked up Art again, and then straight into Educating Rita.
I mean, it sounds an astonishing as a run, but I mean, when you leave drama school and you're a jobbing actor, and you've got, most actors, I think they just happy to work, really. But a few years down the line, and you're picking up Best Comedy Actor at the Comedy Awards. That must have been a bit of a strange one for you.
It was, but I had the great safety net of Andy Hamilton and Guy Jenkin writing the scripts, and the amazing cast that was in Drop the Dead Donkey. So spoiled rotten. And
what sort of things? What would you most like to be remembered for?
Well, I think Blast Off did have a big impact on people from those communities who suffered the themes that were explored in the film, and that they recognised it was as true as we could make it. And 21 years later, since the film was made, it was the first British movie chosen to have the soundtrack taken off, where the band could go and play live underneath screenings of it. And we sold out the Royal Albert Hall, and then sold out the Sage in Gateshead, and they played at Millennium Square in Leeds as well. And it's had another lease of life, but it's a story that still resonates very, very fondly with people. And so I think that's the one I've been most proud of.
I mean, I saw it. I was actually on tour, and I spent quite a lot of time in the cinema on my own. And I went to see Brastoff. I was in drama school with Ewan McGregor, so right. I kind of thought, you know what I mean. You just go and support each other, don't you? Yeah, and I just found myself sitting in a theatre on my own. My face was just leaking. It was the most bizarre feeling, because I wasn't necessarily crying, but the emotion of the whole piece was just so apparent, especially at the end, as you say, in the Albert Hall scene. It was just too much.
No, it was wonderful, and to go back there for a screening 21 years later with the band still playing as amazingly as ever, and to have Pete's family there, Pete Postlethwaite's family there. We dedicated it to him, and it was a very, very moving evening. It still continues to move people. So.
Yeah, it is. It's a stunning bit of work, really is. But here's some statistics for you. 8 years of Drop the Dead Donkey, 8 years of Wild at Heart, 6 years of DCI Banks, and 4 years in counting on Trolleyed. Some of British TV's greatest work. Do you allow yourself to sit back and admire that, or do you just have to crack on with your next project?
Oh no, crack on. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing come the end, the middle to the end of August when I finish this one at Rita. So it's always, there's always you don't know what's happening round the corner, and it's always looming. So I always keep plodding on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fantastic. There's enough time for that when you retire, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, I've no intention of doing that. I always wanted to be in it for the long haul.
All right, good.
As long as they'll have me.
Excellent. And we better talk about this piece, Educating Rita. I think you can count on one hand, really, the playwrights that we've got in this country that people will go and see a production of theirs based on the playwright. I can think of Alan Ayckbourn and Alan Bennett and Willy Russell. They're three people who just their work is just constantly amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it's 40 years since Willy first had the play produced, and we were very fortunate that he was with us every week of rehearsals.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's had a massive hand in this, because I was working for the same producers that did art, and I'd been up at Live Theatre in Newcastle re-rehearsing a play that I'd already performed there that was about to transfer to the Trafalgar Studios called The Red Lion by Patrick Marber. And appearing in the main house was a show called Goth Weekend starring Jess Johnson. And she was amazing in it. We got chatting afterwards, and she said that she performed Rita only for a week, unfortunately, at the Gala Theatre in Durham. And she said she wished she could have done a longer run of it. And she casually said, "You'd make a great Frank." And it had been ages since I read the play. I'd read it when I was in the teens, in the early 80s, when it first came out, before the film came out. And so I went back to it and discovered, yes, now I am exactly the right age to play Frank. So I spoke to our producers and said, was there any chance he'd see Jess and I read it together? And he said, well, yeah, he put that together and got Willy Russell's daughter Rachel to come in and listen to us read it. We were in a hotel in Bath, because I was on tour at the time. And she went back to her dad and said, these two are great together, and he very kindly gave us the rights. And then, as I said, was there for every week of rehearsal, so it's been invaluable and very fortunate to have him there and been a real inspiration.
I mean, is this sort of the official 40th anniversary tour, or?
Yeah. It's we're hopefully going to finish this one off until August, and then when it's established and up and running, because that's the beauty of a one set and just two actors in the show. Yeah, you can pick it up again at any time. So theatres that haven't been able to find it on this run will hopefully book up for it in the future. Yeah, we wanted to remind people that it was a play first. I mean, everyone sort of seemingly knows the Michael Caine, Julie Walters movie, but the theatre show is just the two of them. You don't see any of the outside things that you did in the film, and it's just a concentrated sort of 2 hours following a year in the life of these two characters that shouldn't really get on, but form this. They're very codependent on each other. Yeah, and it's a beautiful story, and still incredibly relevant today. Talking about gender qualities and people having a choice and having a second attempt at something is always going to be relevant. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of Willy's writing is that it's accessible to everyone. Some people, when they see it on paper, go, "Oh well, it's going to be a play about literature or about academia, and it might not be for me." But the beauty of a writer like Willy Russell is that he makes it, he embraces everyone and thinks of it from an audience's point of view, and he wants everyone to enjoy it, so it's easy for everyone to understand. Yeah. And of course, as you've just pointed out there, it's an iconic movie now with Julie Walters and Michael Caine. Do you, when you're doing it yourself, do you steer clear of watching that in case you're influenced? I've done, yes. I've just tried to immerse myself in the script, because both Jess and I and Max Roberts, who directed it, that we both know, want to. I think because we had Willy Russell present with us, we just wanted to concentrate on the script and on the play, and just to remind people what a great play it is, and forget about the film. It was a play first, and hopefully that's coming across. Yeah. Well, Stephen, it's been an absolute treat to speak to you, mate. Thanks ever so much for that. My pleasure. Good luck with the tour, and we look forward to seeing you at Theatre Clwyd in a couple of weeks now. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. Bye.
We don't need no education.
So there we have it. It is the 40th anniversary of Educating Rita, written by probably one of our greatest playwrights, Mr. Willy Russell, and that is starring Stephen Tomkinson and Jessica Johnson, and that is touring around the UK as we speak, and we'll be stopping off at Theatre Clwyd for a fortnight from the 20th of May. That's next Monday. If you want to get tickets, the box office number 01352 701 521. That's 01352 701 521. Go and see Educating Rita up at Theatre Clwyd. Do not let yourself down by missing it. Go on then, support your local theatres, ladies and gentlemen. They will not be there forever if you don't.
This is the beginning of the end, so you might as well set fire to your friends.